I got involved in the Australian Dream documentary, I guess, as a person who represented Australia for some 13 odd years. And during that time, I had experienced racism myself, and I took a stance against that, and it was documented. And if my stance on racism in sports can be of somewhat an inspiration for my other brothers and sisters who endure that, to stand up and say racism is not okay, then I think I've done an okay job.
It was really hard for me to watch it. I didn't know what to expect. I sort of knew the content, but not the extent of the content. What Adam went through was just... No human being should go through that, no matter what their background is. And I was quite emotional after it.
The respect and love I have for Adam is pretty highly. I watched him play footy when I was a kid, and just how he dealt with the situations, and he could have dealt with it in many ways which would have backfired, and I think he handled it pretty maturely, and he actually opened up and said that we need to educate young people like that little girl that day.
My Australian dream would be to live in Australia that is educated and willing to learn about the true history of Australia and what really has gone on in this country with Indigenous people, but also with all of the other people who share this story with us and who have moved here over the centuries.
It's a documentary that takes you on a roller coaster, and at the end you're left with many questions, but I think you're left with hope, and you're left with if we come together and if we look after one another and sit and just have a genuine dialogue, that we can push forward and we can walk into a better tomorrow.
Adam's connection to his family, and also the fact that he did everything he did for future generations, I really connected to that. My family has been a really important part of who I am as an Aboriginal woman, and what I do in the public eye is all about our future generations. There isn't a thing that I don't do that I'm not thinking there's a young Aboriginal boy or girl watching me, and I want them to think they can do it, and I really got that sense from Adam as well.
Internationally, the oldest living culture in the world. Bottle that. Why are we the oldest living culture in the world? There's something for people to not be threatened by, but something for people to be enriched by. And growing up, that's not what I was taught.
I was the Race Discrimination Commissioner for Australia for 5 years, and it's during that period that I encountered firsthand what people of Australia were experiencing. The unconscious bias is really what needs to be addressed, so that we don't perpetrate racism or casual racism. We don't go and promote racial jokes or any way that's going to denigrate somebody else.
I guess when I think about, what is it that I would say to a young person, a community member, a child that was on the end of any form of bullying or racism or discrimination, that they need to know that that's not okay. And it's not okay because we feel it. We have a reaction to it. And what you need to do is take that step to seek help and tell people about it. Stand up, because there's people that will stand with you. It's not okay. And it's important for us to shine a light, to heal, a history that has taught us something in our communities that no longer belongs a part of the fabric of our country.
I think it was about 10 years ago, I had a non-Indigenous person ask me, is there still Aboriginal people here? Or is it, what's the stolen generation? And just really a lot of questions. And me being so young, I didn't have all the answers to give her right there and then. But the fact that she wanted to learn, I could just give her so much. But it's just the first step of wanting to know, history. Living in this country.
I think that even if people are struggling to take that first step, I think that you should take the first step in your own path and have a look at your own history, your own ancestry, where you come from, who's your family tree. Find out about your family, and I think that will lead you onto your questions. So when you're talking to somebody else, you can ask them the right questions, and it kind of helps you connect a little bit more. I think if you know yourself, then you can go on to knowing other people.
For me, it's about culture being able to be an accepted and celebrated part of Australia as an identity. It's not an Aboriginal thing and it's not a non-Aboriginal thing. It's about us all being able to come together and truly celebrate this journey of the 80,000 years of history that we have in this country.
I was disconnected from my culture for such a long time. And when I reconnected, I loved it, still love it now. I'm on a journey now and I'm still connecting with it at different levels. So my Australian dream would be for my kids to stay connected to their culture and sort of explore it, and then be able to do that same with their children at the same time.
Watching those films, and like the Australian Dream and that, it lifts a lot of hurt, not so much anger, but hurt, because people are ill-informed about how do we get on, how do we live life. I don't want to fight with people. I want people to understand me and I want to understand them, and how do we get on.
And that documentary, it just really shone a massive amount of light on the subject for me. It just opened up a lot of wounds, and I was grateful that I watched it. And I think Australia should be grateful, and every Australian should be sitting down to watch this, and they should feel grateful that they may have some privilege that they never knew they had when it comes to them as a person.